Hello, everyone. I'm Sonia Hernández. I'm an associate professor in the Department of History here at Texas A&M University, and just want to share the great news that my new book is out, For a Just and Better World, Engendering Anarchism in the Mexican Borderlands, 1900 to 1938, published by the University of Illinois Press. In this book, I retrace the emergence of a labor anarchist-inspired group anchored in the port of Tampico in the Gulf of Mexico, with reach across the Mexican North, across Texas, and across the Atlantic. And in this book, I center the lives of women anarchists who identified as, in some cases, as feminists, in other cases, just as labor activists fighting to create, quote, a just and better world for all workers. As one of the anarcho-syndicalists who takes center stage in the book wrote back in 1929. Her name was Caritina Piña, and she embodied the ideals of many anarchists fighting to achieve labor and gender equity during the 1920s and early 1930s in the port of Tampico. Caritina Piña joined forces with other anarcho-syndicalists like Esteban Mendez Guerra, a former Pancho Villa soldier who retires after the Mexican Revolution and fights in the Battle of El Ébano for control over the strategic oil fields in the outskirts of Tampico. And after the revolution, he organizes an anarcho-syndicalist group, and Caritina Piña becomes the head of correspondence for this organization. And so it's women like Piña who really take who play a pivotal role in not only spreading knowledge about labor conditions and labor ideals in the port of Tampico, but it exports those ideals to other places across Texas and across the Atlantic, sharing local concerns, sharing regional concerns, and certainly global concerns affecting all kinds of workers with new organizations and other labor activists. She was at the forefront of a movement to free political prisoners, many of whom critiqued the government of Emilio Portes Gil, who was the governor of Tamaulipas, and who began to promote state-sanctioned socialism and slowly began to co-opt organized labor to the point where his government began to silence voices like Caritina Piña's and others, these voices who were strong anarchist supporters and silencing communist sympathizers as well. However, the activism of women like Piña and others really speaks directly to the crucial participation of women in the larger struggle for labor rights in this corner of the globe. Piña's use of the language of motherhood echoed the Mexican state's discourse on revolutionary motherhood or mother citizens, to be more precise. However, the discourse promoted by women like Caritina Piña about revolutionary motherhood was one that underscored the principles of anarchism and focused on direct action and promoted the idea that women were capable of reproducing true fighters to usher in the real revolution, not the 1910 Mexican Revolution that had now been co-opted by a bourgeois revolutionary government. And so it's this language of motherhood that was promoted to serve the interests of the community, not the interests of the new revolutionary state. And that's what set these anarcho-syndicalists, anarcho-feminists apart from other women promoting things like suffrage and an increased political participation on the part of women. And unfortunately, by the 1930s, anarcho-syndicalism declined as the government of Emilio Portes Gil gained traction, and in that way, organized labor was co-opted. However, the legacy of women's direct action, the legacy of women's reciprocal based organizing lived on. And it's left an indelible mark on the Texas Tamaulipas borderlands to this day. And you know, at the end, these anarcho-feminists wish to promote one main goal, which was, to quote Caritina Piña, to create a just and better world for all workers. I hope you enjoyed this book, and make sure that you take advantage of the discount offered by the University of Illinois Press. Enter F21 UIP, again, F21 UIP, to earn a 30% discount when you order For a Just and Better World. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope you find For a Just and Better World a rewarding and significant read. Thank you and take care.